you got to be on top of everything because it's just you in the car compared to 2 or 3 other people. People putting out stupid report, and you look at the reports made by the same guy every single time. And we saw a whole convoy just leave. Nice, guys. Way to put a view on us, you know.
What do you want your storm chasing legacy to be?
I want to be known. I'm Lucas Beversdorf. I'm the lead storm chaser and owner of Team Multivortex. I've been chasing since 2021, I think.
What first pulled you into storm chasing, and when did you realize it wasn't just a hobby for you?
I think that might be a bit of a tough question because I'm also curious myself because I've been interested in storms as long as I can remember, and I was asking my grandparents, and even when I was a little infant, like I'd be crying, whatever, throwing a fuss, and as soon as a storm would roll through, anytime I heard thunder, I'd just calm down. And I guess I just think I've just been naturally pulled to storms. I think every time a storm would come over McCool, we'd go sit up top of the hill every single time. We wouldn't miss a single storm. Yeah, I've always loved storms. And then like the chasing has been something I've wanted to do for a living for almost my entire life. It's probably my biggest dream. Yeah, and I'm doing it a lot quicker than I was expecting I was going to when I was little. So yeah.
So you basically grew up in this right environment, dramatic one.
Pretty much, yeah. Every summer there'd be a storm that come over, and yeah, I've just been fascinated about everything about storms. And now I don't look at every storm now. I kind of, all those miles kind of get you a little burnt out, you know. But you still see a couple storms coming over here. But yeah, I've just always loved storms. So yeah.
How did the Team Multivortex start, and what role do you play in it today?
So it started with 2 friends named Skylar Handy and Jackson Franson, and they want to do similar things that I want to do, and they wanted to just kind of create a team where we could all live out our dream together pretty much. And since then the team has gotten so much bigger, and we've got so many more chasers and friends. But at some point last year, I think halfway through the season, I took over as the leadership position. So I'm just kind of a natural leader. I've got those qualities that a natural leader would have. And yeah, we've ran really well since we've done that. And the lead Skylar has turned into like the lead forecaster, whatever. He's got a lot of forecasting brain on him. But yeah, it's just kind of started out as a group of friends that love storm chasing, and it's just gotten quite a bit bigger. I think we're up to 21 members now, and they're kind of all relatively in this area within 3 hours. So yeah.
How long have you been together as a storm chasing team?
We formed in, I think it was September or October of 23, so it's only been a couple of years, but we do everything together, everything weather-wise. We'll come over here and forecast before storms. Yeah, I guess the best way to put it is just a big group of best friends that love storm chasing is pretty much what our team is. That we also really want to do the actual useful things like search and rescue and stuff like that. But yeah.
When you chase out there, are you usually grouping together and chase the same supercell?
This year especially, we want to work on splitting off, and we use the Zello app or Discord. Discord works amazing too. But before this year, we were all convoying. Our first chase of this year, which was the dumbest thing I've ever done, was a 6-vehicle convoy. And that kind of sealed the deal. We aren't going to do that anymore. It's too many bladders to take care of, too many stomachs to fill, and just storm chasing works way better if you're spread out and relaying what you see, whether you're on the same storm from a different angle or you're on a completely different storm 50 miles away, you know. Just, I think spreading out helps a lot, and we really want to work on doing that a lot more this year.
How do you decide when to commit to a storm versus backing off?
I guess it's more, well, obviously it's more visually what it looks like, but we also like to keep an eye on the data, like the numbers, like that storm, what environment is that storm moving into versus that storm that's 20 miles to the south. And also a bit of it is just kind of your gut instinct as well. It's like, yeah, the numbers are good, but I don't think don't think anything is gonna happen. Sometimes it does work out that way, and we do follow our gut, but we're more of like a data, I guess. We like to look at the numbers before we make, I guess, any decisions. I guess you could put it that way.
Are you relying mostly on data or the gut feeling,
So
percentage-wise?
Percentage-wise, I'd probably say it's about a 70% data and then 30% gut feeling. Prime example, last year in that big Plevna, Kansas tornado at nighttime, we were clear up north. The numbers were looking amazing up north, if I remember correctly. And we almost called off the chase, and we saw just a little blip form up in southern Kansas, and the numbers were all right down there. But all of our guts were telling us to go. Every single one of our guys were like, you need to go on the storm now. And we blasted an hour and a half south, and we got there just in time for that tornado. And it's probably one of the best decisions we've made. But yeah, it's kind of a mixture of both, but more you're looking at the numbers, just so you're not just driving anywhere and really not seeing anything, because there's been a couple times we've done that too.
What's the hardest call you've had to make in the field?
I wouldn't really call this one, could be hard, I guess. But anyway, we were in between two hail cores, and I think they were merging. And this is on April 26, 2024. And we had got caught in those two hail cores on some random gravel road. And we were behind some other vehicle, and us in that vehicle started hailing baseballs, and we made the decision to go dive bomb into some random open barn. And it did work out. I mean, we only got one dent on the windshield, or one crack on the windshield, but I think that's probably the most, I would call it the hardest decision, but I think really the hardest decision would be just calling the chase, you know. Like, there's been times where these storms just don't look good, and we leave, and then they, produce a tornado. I think that's, especially after that happens, is like, why did we make that choice? And it kind of goes into the next thing, or the next chase. Do we really want to decommit from this storm, or do we just want to commit it? I think that's probably the hardest decisions we have to make. When to call the storm or when to call the chase.
Have you ever experienced baseball hail size?
That same day when we had to dive into that barn, we had like the baseball, start falling, and he had quite a bit of windshield damage, and he just recently, this is Skylar I'm talking about. Skylar just recently got a new vehicle, but before that, just all the dents, all the cracks were still there. Just kind of keeping it as like a trophy, but yeah, we dove into that barn and got out of the vehicle, and we're halfway under this, a big barn, halfway under the barn, still getting hit on the head from bouncing hailstones. Like, they're bouncing their softballs, so they hurt quite a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, now we've got actual head protection, so hopefully we shouldn't be running into that problem anymore.
Have you built anything like a custom made, like a protection for the vehicle?
No, not any of us so far. We've talked about it. Which Skylar's new vehicle has a sunroof, and he just laid out a bunch of pool noodles. So hopefully that'll help. I don't know how well that's gonna work, especially if we get in a bigger hail. But yeah, we've got Jackson has a few actual, like, he's got vehicles with a mesonet on front of it, homemade. He made it all himself. I think he's talked about putting like a hail cage on it or something like that, but it's just a lot of extra weight, I guess, if you use heavy materials. But like my car, I don't think my car would really be the best vehicle to put a hail cage on. I'd just rather get smashed by hail, I don't know.
Yeah, the hail is never fun. It just probably, I would say it's a worse.
Yeah,
that can happen. And
The unfortunate part of storms is the hail, because you can't get too close. I mean, you can without getting hailed on, but like my car, my grandpa owns my car, so I've got to be really careful where I put my car, and that kind of like we're always with our decision making, we're always one step ahead, always one step ahead. So this storm's coming with giant hail. We're gonna blast 5 miles south so it misses us, so we don't even have to worry about it. And yeah, so we've done a really good job staying out of the hail, but it's those times where you get caught up in the hail is where you start questioning everything.
Yeah, sometimes not easy to avoid.
Mm-hmm. Yep, unfortunately not. You see a lot of those bigger chasers, they'll core punch the storms. We like to go from the south where there's no hail, but these people like to go straight through the storms. I'm like, holy crap, it's a lot of money. You see that all the time on radar scope. Just storm chasers, either those spotter dots. I'm kind of getting on topic here, but we're in Illinois. Those spotter dots, the chaser convergence was ridiculous, and I'm pretty sure quite a few of them got caught in that hail because of the chaser convergence. And we weren't even on that storm. That was clear out east, and we were on the not so good storms back behind them, and even then, like, there were hundreds of chasers, just conga line after conga line, and yeah, that's where it gets, like, if you get caught up in it, I think that's where you could really get in the hail, just because you can't really move, you know. But, yeah.
Have you also experienced like a traffic jam while storm chasing?
Not major, only because we completely avoid interstates and big cities while we're chasing, but during April 26th, as those tornadoes were crossing the border into Iowa, they're almost every bridge had damage on it. So I think there's one bridge in the middle maybe, and almost every vehicle had to take that. And I think that's probably the worst. And then also other than the chaser convergence, we've been into some pretty bad chaser convergence, especially down in Oklahoma. That's where it really gets bad. But
it's like the song "Ain't No Love in Oklahoma."
Yeah, ain't no love in Oklahoma.
In matches.
Yeah, they don't. The roads don't love you there. But yeah.
What goes through your mind when you are sitting under a developing storm before it produces?
Well, the obvious. Whoa, look at this storm. This storm is beautiful, but like, I guess that also kind of, like me, like a lot of chasers, and there's some people that will probably just say I'm bullshitting, whatever, but like of course, chaser, the big thing about being a chaser, seeing the storm, but it's also about what's that storm gonna hit. And that's kind of what I always kind of have in the back of my mind. No matter what storm I'm looking at, it's like, what's going to get hit? What kind of damage am I going to come across? And yeah, and I just kind of want to be there and that's kind of what our team wants to do, is also just be there for the people that need us, you know? Yeah, of course it's awe, beauty, you know, but yeah, it's just that back of the mind thought as well, and that goes for any storm, especially if it's like when we're in Illinois. These storms were heading into Chicago, Peoria, all these giant cities area, and like these storms are gonna hit these cities at one point. I'm like, oh boy. But yeah, it's kind of yeah.
Do you ever feel fear, or is it more calculated risk at this point?
I mean, I'd be lying if I said no, I wouldn't feel fear, but it's a huge majority is that calculated risk. Like, we know what we're getting ourselves into, and we know it's going to happen, and like I said, we plan way ahead. In Illinois, these storms were supposed to be deviant. We weren't going to get anywhere close to these storms. We were going to sit back, just enjoy the view. It's what our plan was. But like in situations like the Pi Day outbreak last year in southern Missouri, those storms were moving. They were moving at least 50, I'm pretty sure. And at some point we had to bail really quick. And of course there you get a little lump in your throat, you know, just kind of get a bit nervous. I did have that feeling kind of going into the next day, that high risk, just because of how volatile the atmosphere was. I just had that kind of had to roll down the windows, and it was like, started to almost hyperventilate just because of the environment we were going into, all the possible things that could happen. But usually it's that calculated risk, and I would be lying if I said we wouldn't feel fear. But even the big chasers, sometimes they'll get themselves into situations. There's a recent one, not going to name any names, but very well-known storm chaser, when his whole vehicle of friends got and they had no idea where they were. They were almost zero situational awareness, and they almost got hit by the tornado. And after that, you could hear that, like, one of them started crying. I'm like, I probably would have too. Holy crap. I was scared for them. But it's just kind of unfortunate with storms. No matter how much experience you have, always that chance you could get yourself into that situation, no matter how situationally aware you are. Like, some places don't have service, you can't really look at radar, and we try to make a calculated risk. That's the goal.
Yeah, I've seen a few videos. There was a couple of chasers and the power line got down.
Mm-hmm.
They got stuck between, so they couldn't move.
Yep, that's one of those situations where you can't do anything about it. You can't plan. You can't plan that. You just gotta be. You can't. What's the word I'm looking for? You can't freak out. You just gotta stay calm, as calm as you can in those situations. Because when you freak out is when you start making those bad decisions. And those storm chasers that I had talked about, they were all four of them calm, cool, and collected until they got out of there. And I think that's why they got out of there, is because they stayed calm. If they were freaking out, they probably would have gotten hit by the tornado. They couldn't convey any messages, but they did a very good job out of that situation. Not bashing them or anything, but
Has your perspective changed over time?
I guess maybe, especially with how, like, I guess with every chase you get more experience. So I think maybe, obviously you don't just drive into the storms like willy-nilly or anything, but I don't know. I think you just kind of, the risk is always there, but it's just you get more and more comfortable, I guess, getting close to these, because storm chasers' jobs is getting close to one of the most dangerous places on Earth. And like you see I haven't 0-metered a tornado yet, but I do want to do that eventually in my career. And I've seen, like, the Watertown tornado. There's so many of them just right next to it. And I'm like, oh, that's the coolest thing in the world. But then you've got the hail, all those other risks, so you can't just, But I think just over time it kind of gets a little, the risk, or I don't know what word I'm looking for, but
how you can handle.
Just like when you first start out, like I started storm chasing in 2021. My first storm chase, I saw 3 tornadoes. I was terrified. I had this was zero, and this was a spotting one too. I just had gone out and seen tornadoes, and like even there I was like, I stay way away from these. And this isn't with all the experience I have now. If I had the experience I had now then, I would have been right up next to them. Oh my goodness, they were gorgeous. They were very gorgeous tornadoes. But yeah, it's just kind of I think you just get used to it. I think used to the risk, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah.
In your opinion, what's something about storm chasing that most people completely misunderstand?
I know, see, a lot of my friends, like I've taken a couple friends storm chasing or whatever, and like none of them are expecting the drive and the commitment that we have to put in every single storm chase. They just think we go out and see tornadoes every single time, and that's another misconception too. You see a tornado every time. I haven't seen a tornado yet this year. There's the drives, and then the busts are the biggest misconceptions. You drive 6 hours to see blue skies, and most people would think that's the dumbest thing in the world, but of course it just gives us more motivation to go chase harder the next chase. They just think it's all sunshine and rain. I don't know, that's a poor choice of words, but they just think they're gonna see cool things every time, and that'd be cool. But I think the failures, the busts, are just as important as seeing those big tornadoes. Are you gonna stay committed, or are you gonna give up? And like, there's been a couple times where there's been one time where we chased in the day. We didn't see anything. Blue skies, just the whole blue skies. We didn't see anything, and we were 3 hours away from home. And most people would not want to chase anymore. I mean, I get burnt out of things really quickly, and chasing does kind of like the driving. I don't like the driving, but anyway, yeah, I think they just expect that, just to see stuff every time. And I mean, if you're good enough, maybe, but yeah.
What does a typical chase day look like from start to finish?
I guess we don't really have too much of like a set schedule or stuff, but we usually do the day before. We usually meet up, and wherever it is. It's usually here, and we'll forecast, and we'll try and come up with target areas and possible other target areas. There's as much information as we can get, pretty much, beforehand. We'll plan out everything. We'll plan, like this year, we're gonna start planning hotels and stuff. When we went to Illinois, we already knew what city we were gonna stay in before we left. And then just kind of like on the chase day, we just kind of wake up, get in the car, and go, pretty much. Excuse me. Just double check all the equipment, make sure all the camera batteries are charged. I have forgotten my camera battery on the charger once, so make sure that's never gonna happen again. But yeah, it's just kind of a get up and go on chase day. You kind of pre-plan everything beforehand as much as we can. So yeah.
What's the longest or most intense chase you've ever done?
The longest would be that the Pi Day last year, the March 13th and 14th, 25. And this was a last-minute decision to go. We saw the high risk pop up after the moderate risk, and we were like, you know what, we're gonna do it. So we left that. It was a Friday, Saturday. We left that Thursday. Stayed a night at a fellow chaser's house in St. Louis. Thursday night, and we just kind of hung out that Friday and chased that whole day, and then we stayed in that Perryville, which had just gotten hit by a tornado. And I think we only slept for like 2 hours, and we just blasted 5 more hours south to Mississippi and Alabama, and then we chased that whole day. And as soon as the chase ended, we made the decision to drive all the way back home, which was a 15-hour drive. That was awful. But yeah, now we know we never want to do that again. So it's kind of those, you got to do it to know you don't like it. There are some people that do that too, that actually like driving. I just don't like driving. And I do unfortunately drive the most, or one of the most. So it kind of, gets a bit annoying, but seeing the storms makes it all worth it. Even if it's just a shelf cloud, it makes the drives worth it, in my opinion, no matter how long it is. So yeah.
Pays off.
Mm-hmm. It does, especially if you see a tornado, but it does pay off usually.
How do you handle fatigue, travel, and constant movement during chase season?
I think more just a simple answer would be your energy drinks, and like I do those grind coffee pouches a lot. They actually do help me quite a bit, but it's just, and we all love storms too, so getting out of the car for the first time underneath that mesocyclone really just kind of erases that drive from memory, and you completely forget about it until it's done, obviously. You got to drive the 6 hours back, but yeah, I think
tornado recharges you.
It does, definitely, yeah. It definitely does, especially if you got good pictures and videos of it. You got something to look forward to when you're back. You get to edit, and even if in the car, you get something to do. You get to edit in the car if you wanted to. And I also think talking helps too. That could just be me, but if you're just sitting in the car for 6 hours in silence or just music, that could get pretty boring. And when you're talking about tornadoes and the stuff you love, the drives go by quick, no matter how long they drove. When we went to Illinois, all the way there and all the way back, we talked. I don't think we once stopped talking. I made the drive. I didn't even notice it was 6, or obviously it was 6 hours, but it didn't feel like it. It felt pretty quick compared to when you're driving home at nighttime and everybody else is sleeping in the car and you've got to drive like this, just keeping your eyes open.
And focus.
Yeah, you got to focus. That's when you turn the music up. I do also like to turn the AC on, so I'm a bit uncomfortable. Because when you get comfortable is when you really start to get tired. But yeah.
What's your setup like when you are on the road? The apps, equipment?
On the road, we use just your normal maps, I guess. We have really started to use Weatherfront, or not started, we started using it when it came out, but Weatherfront has almost completely replaced everything, including Pivotal Weather. I mean, we still do go back to Pivotal Weather and COD, but like Weatherfront's got everything in it you would need pretty much, and that's what we're constantly looking at. We're always checking. We're always looking. It's like a cycle. It's satellite. It's observations. It's models, and we just continue that repeat as we're driving. Just because we're so excited to see stuff, we can't help ourselves. We just got to look ahead to it, you know. Yeah, and then that equipment. My car is pretty small, and I've got quite a bit of equipment in it. So we got to kind of like move stuff out of the way, and then when we get to our target areas, when we really set everything up to just so like it's ready. Like I've got a big video camera mount, the main video camera mount, I guess you can call it. Suction cups to the windshield, it hangs. It takes up quite a bit of space, so you obviously don't want to hang that up while you're driving or whatever. But yeah, it's just I try to make as much space as possible, try to make it as comfortable as possible. So yeah.
If someone wanted to get into storm chasing today, what would you tell them honestly?
Experience. Get experience is the short answer. That goes, and a bit hypocritical for me, but I started out spotting, but that's after I spent my whole childhood looking at this stuff, looking at models. I was like, it's just the experience. And with storm chasing, I guess the best way you can describe it is, I mean, meteorology is math. And you learn a math equation, a simple math equation in school. And you get on that test or quiz afterwards, and that equation looks nothing like what you were taught, and you have no idea what you're going to do. It's kind of what meteorology is like. You look at all these textbooks examples of these storms, and you actually get out there, and you just, like, what the hell am I looking at? Like, that's a big, and that goes with the experience, too. Like, I'm exceptionally good at visually spotting storms, and that just came from experience. Looking at hundreds and hundreds of storms, and when I first started, I couldn't tell you where that, well, I probably could have, but, excuse me, looking at the storm, pointing out a tornado, a place where you think a tornado is going to drop, and realistically, that's not correct, or it's not. I think experience is probably the number one answer. And then putting yourself, if you are able to, putting yourself around people that know what they're doing and have that experience, and that goes, and they are expensive, but going on tours, connecting with storm chasers, ask if you want to, can I go storm chasing with you guys sometime? I'm young, I want to go learn what I want to do. And I think at least half of the time you're going to get a yes, probably. Just because the storm chasers also don't want people that are inexperienced out there, because that just puts even more risk on not just yourself, but us and everybody else on the road. When you don't know what you're doing, and it kind of goes into like the spotting thing, or spotter network too. I've seen countless times people putting bogus reports out. You see that quite often, unfortunately. Maybe not so much anymore, but just people putting out stupid reports because they don't know what they're looking at. When we were in Illinois a couple weeks ago, we were on the storm, and it kept getting, every once in a while you get a tornado report. Yeah, you think there's a tornado in the storm, and you look at the reports made by the same guy every single time. And I can already tell you he doesn't know what he's looking at. So it's just kind of that experience is an important thing. And then obviously storm chasing, you see something new every single time. You will never get to, like, you know everything, I guess, or whatever. There's always experience to gain, but when you're first starting out, knowing what you're looking at, knowing what you're doing, staying, especially if you're going to do it by yourself. I think I'm not against by yourself chasing. I've done it before, but you really have to know what you're doing then. Like, you got to be on top of everything, because it's just you in the car. Compared to 2 or 3 other people, you can have one guy focusing on the driving, the other guy focusing on the radar and stuff.
Filming or looking at the backup roads.
Mm-hmm. Like filming too, if you're by yourself, is a lot harder too. Yeah, it's just that experience. Obviously, if you have enough experience by yourself, and I've done it a couple times, but yeah, just putting yourself around those people that can get you that experience safely, relatively safely, I guess, but yeah.
When you look back years from now, what do you want your storm chasing legacy to be?
See, I want to be known as a non-clout chasing storm chaser. I want to be known publicly by everybody that I was not there just for the storms. I'm there for the people too that get hit. And that's a big thing in the storm chasing community, especially nowadays. Just other chasers calling out other chasers just because they want to get the camera there. It's great, of course. All of us love looking at storms, but these people that get hit, like, I've seen a couple storm chasers drive right past damage. At Plevna tornado, we saw a whole convoy just leave. And I'm like, nice guys, way to put a view on us, and it just kind of proves all those other storm chasers what they're talking about, their point too. But yeah, I just want to be known for somebody that actually cared for the people, not just to get the storm on camera,
Yeah. Lucas, thanks for coming. Thanks
Absolutely.
for joining me today and sharing your information and point of view.
Thanks for choosing me to do this. This is pretty cool. I don't think I'd ever get this opportunity again, so this is really cool. So yeah, I greatly appreciate you for doing this, having me on here.